start. So first I will give you an overview what we are going to discuss in this. Okay. First I am going to tell you what is pseudocode, what are its basic, how to write and how to understand reading a pseudocode. Okay. For 5 minutes we are going to discuss it. For the next 5 minutes we are going to discuss the approach to solve its problems for 5 minutes. Okay, for the next 20 minutes we are going to practice 10 questions, easy, difficult, hard, on different kinds of questions that can be asked in your exam. Last I will discuss with you some tips and advices that I can give you, and last we'll do a Q&A and we will discuss something. Okay, so let's start. First we have to discuss what is a pseudocode, right? We know code is what we write to implement a logic, like a for loop, like a function, like a recursion function, whatever it is called code. Now what is a pseudocode? A pseudocode is a representation of a core logic of the algorithm. What are you trying to do? It is written using symbols and annotation. It doesn't use any language specific parameters like increment operator or ampersand or whatever you can understand. It only uses common English words like print and start, for, while. All these common constructs are used which are same regardless of any language you are going to work. Now you will understand like why do we waste so much time. Utility is to explain logic without going into details. For examples, please don't print guys, present guys, it is very irritating. Okay, so now you will see what is the utility of it. Utility is simple, that algorithm can be implemented in multiple languages. So if you share a code in Python, it might be implemented differently in Java and it can cause very lots of confusion. So it improves readability and clarity in coding process, right? So let's see this algorithm which is implemented using its pseudocode. We have initialized the lower bound by 1, upper bound by n. We have run a for loop x until it is not found. Okay, and while is ended using and, no braces, nothing. This is a very pure pseudocode of an algorithm where we have set the midpoint using this logic, and we have checked a condition if another if. So if you see the logic of it, it is very simple. Nothing of the any language specific it is used. It's all English. While x, if exit is written, not like return or exit or anything. Set is written, not initialization, new or anything. So you can understand it is a proper pseudocode. But the questions you will get in your exam will not be as pure as this. Okay, so first thing you have to do is to look at a pseudocode and try to figure out what algorithm it is represented. If you look at this pseudocode, which algorithm it is? Can anyone tell me in comments which algorithm we are trying to implement using this pseudocode? You can let me know in the comments if you have any idea. Yeah, I will give you a hint. It is giving you a midpoint, lower bound and upper bound -2, and then you are comparing it with the x. So a lot of student given right answer. This is the algorithm of binary search, bubble sort. This is not bubble sort. It is a very simple example. This is binary search. Okay. Let's see another. This is a sort. Okay. There is a program where you have passed. You can see the function is also not written with any specific void or int or anything. You are simply taken an array of items. It is whole position value. You are you are checking the whole position. You are figuring out the value that has to be inserted, and all the logic is happening. Okay, so you have to understand this is also another sorting algorithm where we are trying to explain the logic using only common English word. What it is doing, it is running it from I equals to 1 to the length including do. It's a do while, or you can say any other language, it is a do while within it. Okay, if it is greater than 0 or it is greater than 1, so this is doing some search. So this is the logic for insertion sort. Okay, this is insertion sort. So you have to identify what is that algorithm. First you have to understand what's happening in the code, like is it a sum code, is it a ascending order, it is output question. So whatever you have to first identify. Next you have to identify any errors in it, like is there any errors in it, is there compiler error in it, using your basic knowledge of any language, because I have told you earlier this is a proper pseudocode, but it is not necessary Capgemini will only ask pseudocode. They can also give you C code and ask you to tell a output of it, and there may be compiler error questions in it, options in it. So you have to check for errors as well. If there are some compiler error, you have to identify which are these using your common language, that semicolon should be there, array should be initialized this way. Okay, then you have to look at the question, what it is asking. Is it asking for you output? Is it asking for you number of iteration? Cross check with options. Okay, like if you see a compiler error in it and there is an option of compiler error, so you tick it compiler error and don't waste more of your time. So you have to do 5 to 10 second, 10 to 15 second analysis of first 3 steps, and if you are not able to understand it, you can skip that question, because you have to solve at least 20 to 25 questions in 20 and 25 minutes. So you will be getting 1 minute for every question. So 60 seconds is not enough time for you to waste 1 second. अरे एक मिनट बंद कर दो इसको, बात भी कर लेना. Okay, so there will be either 20 questions or 25 questions that you have to answer, and the time will be either 20 minutes or 25 minutes. Dipanshu, would you please mute your mic? It is causing disturbance. Okay, so you have at max only 1 minute for one question, so you have to optimize your time. So don't waste in certain questions which are very difficult and you can't do them. Okay, we will discuss those strategies in the later section in the tips part. Okay, let's look at the first program that we are going to solve. You can see there is an input m equals to 9, n equals to 6. There is some increment, there is some decrement, there is the sum, and so you can see it is a simple if else question, right? There is no complex logic in it. There is a variable, two variables, some manipulation happening here and some if else happening here. Now you look at the question, you have to find the output. Output is happening here. Now you understand what is happening. M is incremented by 1, so 9 will become 10. We have 10 here. Okay, and this is small n only. This is a mistake in the question. So 6 will, n will be n minus 1, which will be 5. This is how you are compiling the question in your mind. Now you are replacing m by m plus n. M is 10, n is 5. So m plus 10, n will become 15. Now what is the condition we have to check? If m is greater than n, m is 15, n is 5, it is greater, so it will print us m. Okay, so very good. आपको इसी तरह से you have to see the approach. First I have understood the program, what it is asking me to do, and then I have checked for some errors. This is a pseudocode, so there will be no error in it. Okay, then you have to look at the output, the options, that's tuck tuck. You might think it is taking a lot of time. Once you practice hundreds of questions, you will be able to do in 20 to 30 seconds. Okay, this question will not take you more than 30 seconds, so you will save 30 seconds for your next program. So let's take bit difficult program. There are two values, there is sum, so you see sum, which means we have to figure out sum, and there is a for loop here, right? So we have to print the sum of these number on the basis of sum logic. This is what we have understood. See Gayatri, finding the answer is a great thing. You have to look for that in the exam. In the exam you have to just find the correct answer no matter how you reach at it. But now we are trying to understand the approach. Like lots of videos are there on YouTube who can tell you how to solve a program, but very few will tell you how to approach a program. So let us first build the approach, then slowly we will optimize it and give the answer very correctly, because that's the best way to. So you have understood the program, we are doing some of it, and we have to just return the output of it. Now you see f is 6, g is 9. Okay, so what is the first if condition? If g is greater than f, g is 9, it is greater than 6. Okay, so now the loop will start from f's value 6. You have to put those value in your mind, and if you go with pen and paper it will be really difficult and it will take a lot of time. Okay, it is 9 and it is just n plus plus. Okay, sum equals to sum plus n, and it was going to just root from 6, and then it will increase to 7 and 8. So it will run for 3 times, the loop will run for 3 times, and every time n will be added, the sum you can see what will happen, 6, 7, 8 and 21. It's a very simple question, but what I want to explain you is the process of looking it. It is also a 30-second question that you can solve in 30 seconds and you can take the rest of the time. So we have done two simple logic questions. Now there is some theoretical question can also come, because DSA is also part of the syllabus of this code. So you can see a simple order, you can see the code, it is a simple traversal code. Now you have to find which traversal it is. There are four type of traversal: pre-order, in-order, post-order, level order. So if you see what kind of DSA question will come Capgemini, it will only come very theoretical. What is the worst case, what is the average case, how many comparisons will happen. So it will only come very theoretical, nothing difficult is gonna happen in it, right? So what's happening in it? It is traversing the left node, it is traversing the right node, and then it is printing the data. Okay, so very good. This is a post order. For it you have to understand the basics of pre-order. Pre-order, we print the node first. In order, we first go left and then we print the node. So similarly you can go in theory and understand it. You don't have to go very deep, it's a very simple. Okay, next question can become of type when you have to check the loop. So loop initialization is a very interesting concept. You can take create hundreds of questions out of loop manipulation, where initialization can be changed, where middle condition can be changed, it can be left empty. So you have to understand lots of it. The purpose of it is not to figure out the answer here. I'm just trying to give you category of question. Like loop manipulation can happen, like if I remove this, what will happen, right? If I add another condition here with end, what will happen, right? If I open some bracket, what will happen? So you have to understand that this is a very important category regardless of Capgemini or any question. So let's see, in this question we have to find the output. We have seen it is a loop question. It is initialized by 3. The condition we have to check, n is not equal to 0, n minus minus. We have to print n and n equals to n minus n for. So what are the options? 3 1 3 2 1 3, infinite loop. You can see initially it will be 3, then it will go print 3, then it will be n minus 1, it will become 2, and before executing it will be 1. So next time it will be minus 1. So 0 will never come, that's why it will run to an infinite loop. It's a very common, very easy question which was asked few times in Capgemini question. Now next category of question is recursion question. You will be asked lots of recursion question, and there is endless possibilities of what kind of recursion question you can create. But fundamental, you must know like how recursion works and what are the basic, how the function call stack works. Like if you create 10 calls, in which order it will be executed, how it will be created. You have to create a mental figure of how all these calls are related. So it's a really tough question. No, this question is easy, but this concept of recursion can be very difficult, and a lot of complex question can be created out of it. So you have understood a function that calls itself is a recursive function. So आपने idea लगा ली, you have got the idea. This is the question of recursion and you have to find the output. See, initially it is 8, it is 9, and you are sending 8 here. You can understand in your mind that it is 9. Sorry for my writing, it is really sucks. Okay, so A will be here, B will be here. If A is less than B, yes, A is 8 and 9. Now the values will switch. A will become 9 and the second value will become 8. That's how it will be passed. If you go again, it will go in else if B is not equal to 0. B is not equal to 0. B will be 8 this time. This time B will be 8 and 9 will be A. So I hope you are understanding the question. I am not trying to explain you the answer, but just the approach to figure out the right answer in the shortest path and the fastest time. Okay, so it will go here. A will be 9 because we have swapped the numbers, and it will plus function 9 comma 7. B was 8, so it will be 7. Okay, now again it will call it is not less than 0, it is not greater, B is not greater, A is greater, it will go in else. So it will again call n9 plus 9 plus f 9 comma 6. So it will go on and on until and unless B becomes 0. So 9 will be added how many times? It will be added first time for 8, then it will be added for 7, then 6, then 5, then 3, then 2, then 1, and it will stop. So 9 is added 8 times. So the right answer is 72. So you must practice a lot of question on recursion. It's a very interesting concept, and it will really make you question all your beliefs of programming. Next, we are trying to understand sixth program. Let's take another example of a function. This is not a recursion question. This is a normal question where you have to check even or odd or something like that. This is also a very common function, divisible. You have understood the difference between percentile. It gives you the remainder. You have slash, it is the modulus operator. You can create endless questions around it. So this question is around it, about a divisible. We will have a function divisible with a number. Even counter is initialized by 0, remainder is initially number. Okay, there is a while loop while number remainder is greater than 0. Once it either becomes 0 or less than 0, then it will become it will go outside the loop. While is ended here and all the code is inside while. So what happened? We are making a digit number percentile 10. Also, we have forgot to check the question. Question says you have to give us the value of even counter, which is returned in the end if the number is 2630. Number is 2630. Okay, so what's happening? Let's analyze very quickly. Digit, it's giving the remainder. The remainder of dividing this number will be in this. If you divide 2630 by 10, what will be the remainder? 0. Digit will become 0. What is checking? Digit is not equal to 0, and number percentile digit equal to 0. Okay, so this condition is true. Okay, so even counter will be incremented this time. And if you end the and, how it is if is ended here, what's making it? It will be the modulus. What will be the modulus? 263 will be the modulus in this case, and the iteration will go again. It will become the 263 will be the new number remainder. If you percent remainder modulus it by 10, what will it become? 3 will be the remainder. Digit will become 3 this time. Okay, so this condition will not hold true, and even counter will not increment. So it will be only executed once, and our answer will be 1. So you have to understand the point is not to explain you the question. The point is to explain you the relation between this modulus operator and this division operator. Okay, it's a very important category of question. Do practice it. Okay, next question we are going to take. You have to find out the wrong statement also. Another question category comes that there is a piece of code and you have to tell us where is the problem in the logic or in the statement. Like it can either be a compilation error, it's a runtime error, or it can be a logical error. In this case it is a logical error. We have to find code to sort given array in ascending order. We are input an array, and this means input an array. Okay, don't get confused. Find out the wrong statement in this logic. This is the logic which is to sort it in an ascending order. Okay, so how will you sort an array in an ascending order? You will take first element, compare it with the next element. If it is greater than the next element, then you will swap. This is the common logic you use to sort in a very simple way. Okay, so there is a while loop. I is less than size. J will start from I plus 1 because it will start from the next element. So you have to process it very fast. It's also a very simple question. While it is greater, it will compare it for all the next elements. Okay, if ai is less than j, then swap, and if j plus 1, and while I equals to plus. This is whole logic. But now you have to find the error. There can be error in either line 4, either line 6, either line 7, either no error. Okay, so you know, if first you have to check line 4, 1 2 3 4. Line 4, you see it is correct, there is no error in it because this is what you have to run. Line 6, this is this while loop, there is no error in it, it is correct. Line 7, it says line 7 you have to compare the previous element is to be greater than the next element. So this is the error here, right? Because it will sort you in a descending order, but you have to sort in a ascending order. So 7 is the answer, but you have to check. This is a very common question where you have to either find out the compiler error or you have to find out the logical error. At the end of this video, I will give you a PDF which will have links to hundreds of problems on different categories, a YouTube video links or a website link or a PDF link, and based on the latest pattern. So I will share it in the group as well, so please don't worry, you will have plenty of questions to practice. Just see the approach, how to approach on it. The next category of question is to tell you how many times a loop has run. So it is also a very interesting question. In this we have understood the for loop, infinite one question. One second, where it has gone. So in this we have understood the different nuances of these conditions. Okay, what other category can be created in the for loop is how many times a loop is run, kitni baar wo chali, how many times it is executed, how many comparisons it has made, how many swaps it has made. So all these kinds of question can also be asked to you. So let's see the question. What is it? It is initializing the char by b. It is an alphabet. Okay, now we are lot of students telling the answer because these are very common questions you can find anywhere. I have not taken any difficult questions because I will share you the questions solving videos. This is basically help you understand the approach how to solve the questions. Okay, char should be either greater than a and less than a to z. A is the first number, it is can be equal to, but it is b, it is not equal to, so it will not run for the a, so it will run for b, then it will increment. So what will be the increment will be, it will make it c. Okay, c will work, d will work, and so on and on and on and on. And it's also equal to with z, so it will only not work for a and for rest of the element. So lot of students have guessed the answer is 25. Okay, it's a very simple question. You can practice difficult question. This is the second last question. The next category of questions can be a combination of operators, like there is a plus plus operator, there is a or operator, and end, that is pointer related questions. So this is a very complicated and a very tricky questions. If you don't know the basics of pointers, then you must study. So there will be definitely 2-3 questions which are difficult pointer questions. So I will recommend you to study the basics of pointer, double pointer, what is ampersand, what is value, what does this square bracket represent, what are the operators XOR, OR, and so I will definitely recommend you to study this. So in this we have to figure out the output. So I is initialized by 0, j by 1, k by 2, and l is not initialized, which means it has a garbage value. Okay, I hope you understand the point. Now we are evaluating l with I plus plus or foo and j and end k. What is the meaning of this end k and end k? It means we are passing the pointers, which means value by reference, call by reference. I hope you know it. Okay, just revising you. Okay, so now we have to evaluate this equation. What will it do? Can anyone tell me what will this or operator do? Like if I write L equals to 1 or 0, okay, or I can write it equal to 2 or 0. What will be the value of L after this equation? Can anyone tell me in the comments? Try, think. If I write this like L equals to 2 or 0, so what will be the value of L at the end of this statement? 1. Very good. I hope everyone knows that it will not take the value of 2. The point I was trying to explain you, it will not take the value of 2. Rather, it will take the value of evaluation of the statement, whether either one of is true or not. If it is also 0, then it will be 0, right? Regardless of which number is there, it should be either, it will just check it in binaries. Okay, so let's understand this question. I plus plus increment will happen after this statement. So initially I is 0, so it will go to check this statement. Okay, so what will happen, this function will be called with end j and end k, end j k 1 or 2. Okay, the pointers will be passed to a and b. Okay, this is we are doing a swap operation. This is a swap operation in a slightly different way. Sum is copied in a plus b. So sum will become how much? 3. B will become a. B will become what? K. 2 will 2 हो जाएगा. A will also be 2. now sum is 3, 3 minus 2 will be 1. So this will return 1 here. Okay, any doubt to anyone? So this condition will become true, L will be 1, so and J and K will get swapped. So what will be our output? I will be 1 because 1 increment has happened. J will be 1. J will be 1 or 2. What will be the value of J? We have swapped these pointers in this function. So J will be 2. Very good. K will be 1 because it is swapped. What will be the value of L? 1. So which answer represents this? A. Okay, so you can practice a lot of questions like this. This is a very interesting. We are also sharing a lot of daily question in our DSA group. I hope you are not aware of it. I will also share some of the questions in our group so that you can practice. And okay, sometimes some question theory can also become like how many comparisons you have made, how many swaps you are make, how many pivots you are make. You are aware there is a quick sort. We have to select a pivot and you have to make comparisons on the basis of it. Okay, it can also come on hashing, how many hash collisions will happen. Okay, so these kind of theoretical questions can also come. Okay, any student who have missed the session, don't worry, we will share the recording in the group. You can watch it later as well. And we are about to go to the Q&A session and you can discuss the Q&A. Okay, so there is a program, quick sort program, to sort numbers in ascending order using the first element as a pivot. So by default we will take the first element as the pivot. T1 and T2 be the number of comparison made by P. You are aware quick sort we compare two algorithms by number of comparison, and number of comparison depends on the input data. If the data is different, comparison will be different. For different data, number of comparisons will be different depending on what is the pivot. Okay, so this is a 1 2 3 4, it's a already sorted list. Then it's a 4 1 5 3 2 respectively. Which one of the following holds? So what kind of options are there? T1 is 5, or there is a comparison between T1 and T2. Okay, so now you have to understand how does it work. If it is a pivot, it will compare with other, it will become a it will compare with 3 4 5. So this way comparisons will happen. You need to know the basics of quicksort. I will not discuss it here. So by that logic, lot of students are told like this will have more comparisons. So similarly C will be the answer. Okay, so you must read the basic of quicksort, insertion sort, merge sort, selection sort, not counting in radix, just the basic sorts will be enough. You must remember the worst case and best case and average case. I would recommend you to make a table. On the left side you write the sorting name, second and other side you write the complexity of its O log n, N log n, N square, you know. So some tips are here. Don't waste time overthinking a question. You have to just imagine you have 20 questions, for example, in 20 minutes. Like these questions are pretty basic. Out of 20 questions, such question will be either 4 or 5. Okay, 4 or 5 easy question will be definitely there. 4 or 5, 6 or 7, any number of easy questions will definitely there. So you have to find out those easy questions and make sure you don't score the least number of marks. For example, there are 20 questions, 5 are easy, so you have to solve those 5 accurately so that your 5 marks is scored. Just remember one point: if there are 400 students sitting in your college in the first round of Capgemini, I can guarantee you not more than 120 or 150 will get selected for the next round. So most of the elimination will happen in the pseudocode. So you have to be very very careful. The cutoff will be very close. Number of correct answers or every student will be very very close. So you have to be very very fast and make sure you solve all the easy ones instead of wasting your time on the difficult one. 4-5 questions out of 20 will be such that nobody will be able to solve. They will be very difficult. Okay, so don't waste 2-3 minutes on every question of difficult. Just skip them, and it will happen on CoCubes. I hope you are aware how CoCubes work. So give some mock test on CoCubes, that will also give you some help. Okay, speed over accuracy, not have to attempt every question. Prioritize easy questions first, then medium question, then if you have time left, then you go for the difficult question. Okay, only theory of DSA you have to study. Don't practice like you are doing difficult question of linked list etc. So don't waste time on it. Only theory, linked list, how does it work, middle, double, and the basic part. Okay, Basics of C++ is definitely required. You have to understand how array is initialized, how it is called, how pointers work. So definitely do pointers and operators. These are 3 4 categories that you have to focus a lot. Okay, then practice, practice, practice. Follow this approach that I have discussed with you. Understand the code, identify errors, look at questions, cross check with options, skip if you don't do. Okay, then repeat, repeat. This is also a pseudocode, right? Independent of the question, I have created this pseudocode for you. Okay, so initially you might think it will take a lot of time. Once you practice hundreds of questions, you will be able to solve in 20 30 seconds. I will share the link to 100 plus questions that you can practice in 10, either it's 27 or 28. So there are at least 9 to 10 days for you to practice. So you can do, just be confident, keep practicing. And Capgemini is not that difficult company. It's a mass recruiter. So you can see it's not that difficult interview written process, but just make sure you follow the right strategy, your concepts are clear, and you don't get nervous in the exam. Okay, so if you have any Q&A, you can ask me here. In the next session, we are going to cover the English part and the game-based aptitude part. So there are 24 kind of games that you have to play on CoCubes, and on that basis, you will be evaluated. I think they have added it just because of lockdown, because you will be given exams at your home, and it will be randomized, and it will be very difficult to cheat in it. Okay, so that's why they have added. But is there any negative marking in pseudocode? Harsh, it's not yet revealed. You have to wait for the clear instructions when the exams are come. The number of questions is also not clear. Somebody is saying 20, somebody is saying 25. But your strategy must change. If it is negative mark, you have to be more careful. Okay. If I get to know, I will share in the group. But you must cross check with your TNP team, because these things can change at any time. Okay, also don't cheat. Like all these platforms have some webcam access, they will ask for your webcam access. So don't get any of your friend or anything to answer you. Just do honestly what you can do. Don't switch the tab because they can track. I can tell you from even 5 years back, when I set for exam, there was this technology. So now after 5 years, it's very you can say very advanced. So please don't do this. Just do what you know, do all your practice, and you will definitely get selected. Capgemini is around to hire 8,000 to 10,000 students across India. So NIT is relatively better college in that list. So you are considered in first drive. So you have a better chance of getting selected. What percentage of appearing students? So there is no hard number around it. It also depends on the quality of student, how much they are scoring. It's not like if they want to hire 500, they will hire all the 500. See, they will see the relative quality of the student. Like out of 20 question, if students are able to solve 12 to 15 questions, like 80% are solving 12 to 15 questions, so they will shortlist a good number of students. But if everybody is falling in the range of 5 to 7, then they won't shortlist. So on an average, if we have 400 students are appearing for the first round, I don't expect more than 130 or 150 to be shortlisted in the first round. Then 20 30 students will get eliminated, then 20 30. So somewhere around 50 to 70 students might get selected, depending on the quality of student. So how many students got selected in NIT last year? Can anyone tell me? Because Capgemini visited your college last year as well, I guess. So do check if you don't know how many students got selected last year. So it will be proportional to that as well. Okay. Somebody told me around 400 students are appearing across different branches. So do get this information. It will help you. So first practice a lot for pseudocode question, then English. And I don't think a lot of students will be eliminated in English. Most of the student will be eliminated in pseudocode. Just look from the perspective of the company. They are hiring developers and not sales or marketing guys. So their main priority will be pseudocode. And the game question, because they have to add it just because of lockdown, or you have to give exams from your home. So cheating chances increases from the perspective of company. So take the pseudocode very seriously, then English, then game based aptitude at equal uh, importance. I think game based will be more important, but it's very limited that you can practice on it. There are few common games which we'll try to discuss on the next session. Okay, and all the application related questions you can ask with your TNP only, and 60% is there throughout, I guess. Okay, so all these things you can ask from your friends or TNP also. I hope you all have applied in Hexaware. and its opening is students have started getting the shortlisted emails of First Naukri. So do apply to it. I hope this session helped you in your preparation, and you can ask any doubt in the group, and I will share the document of 100 plus programs. No, this will be the only round. This will be the only round. There will be no coding round. This will